Hi guys. I don't really even know where to start. As the week went on, I kind of like had all these things to say, but I've been in a real shit mood today. So it's because I've always done this to myself, but it's been worse lately. But like, I go, okay, I'm going to start my day like this. And then I wait for that thing to happen. And then if it doesn't, nothing else happens. So then when I realized that thing wasn't going to happen, I went and cleaned a little, if you can even call it that. My house is still a disaster and it's really not good and it's impacting me. But whatever, we did our best today. Took the Christmas tree down. So, that was good. I just took a shower and shaved my legs for the first time since Jake died, and it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be, nor do I feel like as exhausted as I had told myself I would. Um, so yeah, I was glad to do that. I feel really like physically better than I did earlier. That's the problem is that like I need to move more. I am definitely this week feeling the physical effects of a dysregulated nervous system. I think it's doing like as well as it could be right now, but like I'm having real stomach issues and very it's a low energy in a way that was different whenever at first, I think I told you guys we only slept like an hour and a half the first 48 hours and then just not a lot of sleep that first week for obvious reasons. But it, that low energy made sense to me. But like, we went to a birthday party yesterday, and afterwards, it was like, you know how like when you've had like the flu or just like a really bad illness, and then you think you're feeling better, and you start to like pick up the house because nobody cleans when they're sick. But then like you feel like you worked 3 days and you have to sleep and you just don't feel good. That's how I felt yesterday. Granted, there was a lot of people there and it was a little much, but I actually had a lot of fun. So I'm gonna talk more about that in a little bit. So yeah, feeling the physical ramifications, keeping up with the vitamins, which I think helps. But I need to move more, a lot more. I want, this is what's funny. These are all things I was struggling with before Jake died because I worried about Jake nonstop and financial pressure. So just constantly like in this place of just trying to keep myself in the right energy and whatever. And so obviously it's worse now. Yeah, just my tummy just hurts. Like it's just not good. And then, like I said, like I think we picked up for like an hour. Can't fucking tell. You can, but it's not the way I want my house to look afterwards. Like the nausea's worse, everything. I want to move more. I want to be more intentional about sunlight, and um, I've been doing breathing. Think I'll do more. I want to talk about that too, just because I've been breathing for other stuff too. But yeah. So physically, that's where I'm at right now. Emotionally, I feel like I'm like where you would expect somebody to be. Like, I mean, like as good as I can be. Um, I think I just have like certain belief systems and like I was already so careful about the media I consumed. Like I don't listen to the music I used to listen to. I don't watch true crime, though several things have come up lately that I've wanted to watch because I'm bored, but I don't. But yeah, I think like I have been so intentional for so long about shifting my energy when I'm in a weird place. So I think I just have continued that practice. Um, Again, just kind of utilizing the tools that I've been using. So I would say my conscious about 60% of the day is doing well. I feel the subconscious stuff though. So, and I think that that's part of my nervous system stuff. And I'm gonna talk to my friend V soon about just like other emotional expressions other than just crying, which I think crying's fine and it helps a lot. But and I think maybe why I have felt worse the last couple of days is I've cried less. Um you just kind of have to have a lot of space to cry, I think. I don't know, that's hard to explain. So physically that's where I'm at. Okay. I made a list of things I wanted to talk about. So okay, so I saw this clip on TikTok. It was I guess Mel Robbins has a podcast, and this was a guest on her show. Can't credit them appropriately because I don't remember who it was, but he was saying what's really important for somebody who's grieving um, is for their grief and their loss to be witnessed, that it be safe for us to talk about our losses. And, enduring connection is so important for grieving. So, like, continuing, like, we are continuing to create new traditions that will allow us to bring Jake's spirit into each of the things that we will now encounter without his physical body here. I know, because of stuff I've thought in the past, I know that including him will seem weird to people, and I'm going to get into this, but um I think the really important part that he highlighted was, and this is what I've been saying, this is why I have my show, Emotionally Unavailable, is because we are an emotionally unavailable, grief-phobic society. We are so afraid of feeling, so witnessing someone else's pain is very difficult for us, me included. Not just a past version of me. There are still times when I'm uncomfortable with it. And I just have to remind myself, like, oh, you're just afraid. You're not enough. That not enough narrative is very sneaky. And to me, it was a liar and would sound more like, I just don't want to, or I don't have the energy for that, or whatever. And not to say that people don't have the right to create some boundaries around when they're witnessing and holding space for somebody else to feel anything. You absolutely should. If you don't have to give, don't give it. But I'm talking about just your normal, like, this is someone in your village. These are your people. Um, Oftentimes what we do is we find ways to dismiss what their experience is so that we can dismiss our own discomfort of witnessing their experience. I've done this myself 1,000 times. Even, like, I know, my episode on Unquiet Soul where I talk with Angie about this is coming out on Tuesday, but, I know there are people who, because they don't know how to sit with the pain, are just like, well, Melissa should have done this differently or whatever, like, I know that because I've done that in the past. Like, I used to be obsessed with finding out the cause of a child loss so that I could make sure I never did the thing that caused that death, as if all deaths are preventable. And I mean, yes, an accidental overdose is preventable, obviously. And I've said it before, I know that I should have done things differently. But ultimately, it is what it is. So I don't waste my time sitting around going, what should I have done differently? What could I have done differently? I just know that that's my brain really fighting for control. So anyway, I know that there are people who are like, well, if she had just done this, or I told her to do this, or whatever. I get that. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. That's what we all do. It's what we do when we see a national tragedy like ICE shooting a person in the face. We find reasons why that was an acceptable experience or whatever. Like, we will just get real shitty in order to dismiss the pain that comes up in us, because whether you agree with a political philosophy or not, I know that people who have seen the news in the last year with the genocide and everything else, your natural human reaction to see children suffering is pain. And then what we do is we go, all the reasons why I shouldn't feel this pain because they this, or that's what we do. That's normal for us as humans. That's the stuff I'm trying to change one-on-one through this show, is that no matter what you believe, that you stop and you witness your own pain too. And it's not as bad as you think. Like, that's the thing, is that we are so afraid of feeling. But, like, if you're not, I've said it 1,000 times, I'm going to say it again. If you're not jumbling up all the crazy in your brain with the feeling, it passes. And then you go, oh, okay, yeah, that hurt. But it wasn't as bad as I thought. It's kind of like shaving my legs. I thought it was going to be so bad. It wasn't one bad at all. So I'm saying that because at this stage and in the future, it is important. Like one of the reasons I've hesitated to talk about how I'm doing in a way that is positive is because I'm afraid to lose support, because I know what the natural instinct is. People give you, I said this on the episode before and I've said it here, people give you about 2 weeks. And if you lose a child, they'll give you about 2 months. And then after that, you need to move on. I'm not going to move on. I am bringing Jake's spirit into everything I do from here on out. Period. The end. I'm going to talk about Jake for the rest of my life. There are times already that I don't want to because of this grief-phobic society that we live in, but I know that that's my brain lying to me and telling me that I can't. The people who are meant to stay in my life are going to stay, and the people who are not will not. And that is just something I'm going to have to accept because I'm going to talk about my child. So, just practice. Practice when you see something that hurts you, not dismissing it so quickly so that you can dismiss that. Feel that thing that comes up in your chest or your tummy. Feel it for just a minute, 30 seconds. Just practice. I'm not asking you, everyone on this earth, to be there for me specifically or to jump right into, helping other people grieve, but I am asking you to practice, to sit with the things that come up when you witness someone else's pain. So, yeah. Okay, so speaking of that, I had an incident this weekend. Um, I want to say like I made a mistake, but I don't even know if that's the way I would classify it, honestly. But so we went to my friend's granddaughter's birthday party. I mean, I'm friends with her daughter too, but that's how I know them. So, got her a gift, and now that Jake's gone, like I'm just thinking about the way I want to like pour into other people's lives and, just be more intentional about things. So I actually just like folded a piece of paper and made her a little card. So I wrote all this stuff, and then at the end I was like, "We love you so much." And I went to write our names and I felt a little panicky, and I was like, "Ooh, I can't not write Jake's name." So I wrote in parentheses, "and Jake loved you too." Granted, this baby is 6. In my mind in that moment, I did not think it would be upsetting to her. I did not think that. Should have. Anyway, I saw her face whenever her mom read her the card. And she was a little, it made her sad. Which I just like stuffed how I was feeling about until later and, had a good time at the party. But it was like sticking with me. Every time I thought about it, it was just like, oh. Well, and truthfully, I wanted to be mad because that's what my brain really likes to do. I wanted to be mad. And then that night, my friend's daughter, the mother of the child, texted me. We were talking about the party, and she said that the little girl said, "I liked Melissa's card, but it made me a little sad." Immediately pissed. So I like talked about it a little bit and got it out. I just had to realize too, like, just because I'm grieving doesn't mean like my triggers have changed a lot. Like feeling unseen or unworthy to be seen or not witnessed or dismissed is a trigger for me. That is not what anybody's intentions were at all. It was innocent. I mean, I should have thought about it. And actually, I don't think me feeling the need to include his name was the problem at all. I don't think there was a problem. That's why I'm talking about this. So, like, guys, if you hear me talk, like, I'm not upset with you, but this is my experience and I want to talk about it. So just please understand I'm not placing any blame on you. But I've thought and thought and thought about it. And I probably would be more careful with the little 6-year-old. But again, I plan to take Jake's spirit into anything that we do. So if I ever I'm not really a Christmas card kind of gal, but if there were ever an occasion for me to sign our family's name, I will not leave Jake off, period. But I probably would not write the card in that manner again. It was like, we love it, because they're a part of our family. Like, we're like family friends, you know what I mean? So anyway, that was upsetting, but I just like realized like you're just triggered. And if it just like, I was just landing on this isn't fair, not fair other than like, just kind of whiny. Like, it's not fair that my son's gone and I even have to have these conversations. Um, and so I just sat with that for a little bit, and worked my way through it. But, it was really upsetting, but it was a first. That's not going to be the last time something like that happens where my pain is making somebody else uncomfortable. And I think the reason that I got like that my initial reaction was go to mad is because that's what it's always done, because that was confirmation of the bias I already had, which is like, you can't share your shit with people because it makes them uncomfortable. But that's the kind of shit I did when my dad died and my mom died, and I'm not doing that. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm I'm right here on a platform talking about it, and I'm gonna keep talking about it. And I'm going to ask you to witness it. I'm going to ask my audience to hold this, and people who aren't like my old audience to come, please, because it does help. It helps to talk about it. It helps for someone else to see it and hold it with me. It does help. So, anyway, I felt bad. So I probably wouldn't do that again for a 6-year-old, but I will, however, continue to include Jake. I'm considering like a flat Stanley or something that I can take him to things, or we have his little sloth Corey, um maybe something like that. I don't know, but I want him to be with us. So um yeah, I mean, if you think that's weird, you haven't lost a child. That's all I know. um but to be clear, if you wanted to do that with any loss, I think it's perfectly appropriate. Oh, something else I was really struggling with there for a minute. um Kept seeing this thing like you manifest what you're afraid of, and I just kept feeling so afraid that it's my fault that Jake died, because I was so afraid of it his entire life. I don't know if I've ever told this story on here, but I had Jake when I was in my last semester of grad school, and the guest speaker that was there the week I came back from having him, because I just took 2 weeks off of class, because at that stage it was in social work. So if you know how the advanced standing program works, that last semester I wasn't in very many classes, and it was a night class. So I took 2 weeks off and then went back, and I really enjoyed the class, and it was a substance abuse and dependency class. And the guest speaker that week was a man who I think used methadone. Yeah, methadone. And my dad had a history of methadone. And he talked about the first time he tried heroin, he felt home, like he had felt normal for the first time in his life. And I cannot explain this to you, but it was the most jarring feeling and felt like an omen of some sort. I don't know why. And I've thought about that man thousands of times since I had Jake. The whole conversation was around whether or not you view somebody who uses methadone as sober. And anyway, so as Jake was like becoming a toddler and preschooler, he reminded me so much of my older brother, who just struggled so much um with ADHD and just so much trauma and whatever. And I was so afraid that Jake would turn out like him. Um that because my brother's schizophrenic, that's the one I'm talking about. Um that I don't know, it was just a fear. And I always thought about that guy. 'cause I knew when Jake tried opiates, he would love them, and he did. Which I don't know if he had tried them before he had that shoulder surgery, but I knew he liked them. I mean, I doled them out, and I, like, made sure so he didn't abuse the medicine from surgery, but he did like all of those drugs that he got from surgery. Anyway, I've been afraid of this his whole life. So I saw that thing the other day about manifesting what you're afraid of, and I just was so scared that it was my fault. And I can't like necessarily help but worry sometimes about Bryson and Charlie. So I started to spiral. And I just said, okay, what do you know about these types of thoughts? You feel unsafe in your own body if you are determined that you having normal fucking anxiety and normal griefy thoughts, if you're going to just kill your whole family from your thoughts, like you're not safe in your body. We know I have a dysregulated nervous system right now because I've just experienced the worst thing a human can experience on this earth. He didn't just die, he died tragically, and we found him. So, yeah, it was all a bit of a shock. So, I just soothed myself, and I was like, honey, I just talked to that scared mommy and human, and I just gave her the comfort as if somebody else was giving it to me. And I cried so much and just released that fear. And it felt so good. But I really, like, I just knew, okay, anytime we're having like OCD type thoughts, we're not safe in our body. And I probably hadn't spent as much time in those couple of days really connecting with my body. So I did that too. You know, I'll repeat what I keep saying every time I do this, but I put my hands on my stomach so that I can feel the rise and fall of my belly when I'm doing really deep breathing. And then it just send a lot of love and peace to all the parts of my body so that I feel any sort of sensation in. And so I did that, and I just comforted her and just said, like, hey, we're safe. We're safe. And the money worries, like, you're fine right now. Like, you're fine right now, and your babies are safe right now, and you're safe right now, and your husband's safe. No catastrophe has happened. We're good. And when I did that, I was able to just like get into a much better energy. And even just repeating it to you guys right now, it feels good. So anyway, if you find yourself struggling with things like that, just know that when we start to catastrophize like that, that's just your nervous system, your brain trying to keep you alive. It's responding to every little subconscious cue that it's, seeing, feeling, tasting, whatever. And it's feeding you catastrophe because that's the only way it needs to, like, knows to keep you alive. And again, sure, I probably subconsciously blame myself. I'm his mother. But I will not waste time in the conscious sitting around thinking it's my fault. Like, literally nothing I do is going to bring this baby back. So I just want to stay in the here, in the now. I did have my first like 3 minutes where I kind of like didn't think about him. This was like yesterday, and I was like, whoa, I got 3 minutes of reprieve. That was nice. Anyway, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. And I think this is a good place to end. My friend who lost a child in 96, 1 month and 1 or 2 days after I lost my dad, who helped me through the grief process with my dad, is now helping me with this too. And she said, and I thought this was perfect. She said, I'm not gonna lie to you, it doesn't feel better. Like, you still can cry at the drop of a hat 20 something years later. Is it almost 30 years now? Shit. I can't do math. um, wow, that's crazy because that's when my dad died too. Surely not 30. I'm 45. 30 years ago this year. That's insanity. Um, she said, what happens is grief creates this huge hole. And the hole isn't going to get smaller, but your life will become bigger than the hole. And I really liked that. Um, I believe that. And I think at first when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I just gotta make the life bigger. And I just wanted to immediately go start doing things that were gonna make my life bigger. But my mind got the energy for all that. But slowly I know that I'm putting pieces in place that will, I'm becoming someone new. That old me is gone. And I like this me. I do. I love me a lot still. But I'm never going to be a person who has 3 children on this earth. And I'm never gonna be that same person again. And so, um, this new life that I'm building will become bigger than this hole one day. It's just gonna take time to build it up. And so, that's what I'm working on. Um, I'm having a real hard time doing things I need to do. So some things like with the podcast, I love doing it. So there's nothing about that. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh gosh, I got too tired and I have to post it a little later, whatever. It gives me life. The people I'm meeting are continuing to keep me anchored right now because the conversations are so beautiful and they're everything I love to talk about. Um, I want to do more speaking gigs. I am asking people to please start subscribing to my Patreon or buy the merch, buy the workbooks, whatever. I'm just having a hard time doing things that I need to do to make money. So I am hoping that this new life I'm building is going to include more passive income that don't require me to show up so consistently. Um, and I just hope this is the year that my public speaking takes off and Uh, maybe I'm gonna write a book. I don't know. But I have hope, and that's what's important. So thank you for that sage advice because I believe that. I believe my life is gonna get bigger than the hole. Right now the hole's just fucking big. So we're working on it. I do have wonderful friends who continue to support me and love me. And I'm just gonna say out loud, please don't stop because I'm only okay because I do have support. So, I'm gonna need the support, which I'm sure feels overwhelming for my friends, but whatever. Okay, well, the Oklahoma City Thunder are gonna play soon, and I think I've said everything I want to say. I love you. I appreciate you all for being a witness to this grief, and yeah, I think overall I'm doing pretty well. I mean, maybe not. Maybe, maybe being tired and my tummy hurting and stuff is a sign that I'm not doing as well as I think. I don't know, but I think emotionally, I'm as good as you could ask somebody to be right now. I really do. So this is what it looks like for me. I have received some beautiful messages after my last episode about, it helping them to learn that they can talk about it. You should talk about it. And don't let your brain lie to you and say you can't because it makes people uncomfortable or get mad because somebody showed up imperfectly or whatever, like my brain used to. And I mean, it still tries, but I know it's a lie. And I know it's fear. Fear of being vulnerable, fear of feeling, because even I'll find myself being like, oh, I don't want to do that because people are going to ask me how I'm doing. As if I don't want people to ask me how I'm doing, But it's like fear, 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 fear. And I just keep shoving fear out of the way and doing the shit I gotta do. So, just keep taking that next step. That's all anyone can ask you to do. Keep taking the next step. And, yeah, we're in this together. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.